Hey guys, welcome back to Nosies Podcast with me, Melissa. In this week's episode, I will be discussing the film industry. I decided to split it into two parts because I don't think it can be expounded enough in one episode. And I didn't want to bombard people with a lot of information because usually when someone's talking about the film industry, it's more about where we came from and how it is now, and with the numbers and the years and whatever. I didn't want to bring in all that, so I just decided to focus on certain aspects that make a good film, because to be honest, Kenya does have good movies and good series, and I discovered a certain formula some of the greatest movies were using to bring out the best that Kenya could make. And in this part one, I'll be highlighting some of my own personal observations of a great movie. And I'll be focusing on Abel Mutua's and Phillitv Karanja's The Grand Little Lie, which was released on 1st October 2021. And I'm sure a lot of you people know about it because it was all over social media. Abel Mutua was holding placards advertising his movie, go buy. There was even a premiere, like about 3 of them that happened in Nairobi cinema. So it's well known. And by the way, FYI, did you know facts? All of that above, it was shot within 8 days.
Wakenya walituambia hizi kelele umseyushinda kipiga pale hivyo juu ya stool, tunataka zikuwe sinema ya reenactment. So sisi ni akina nani washasema na wakasema watasupport, watanunua, sisi tukatengeneza sinema.
And you had a timeline.
Oh yeah walituambia walikuwa, this was in, ilikuwa show gani ya KNT?
June.
It was there was a show at KNT in June. They told us skizeni hapa hivi August tunataka kuwatch sinema.
In 40 days,
Yes,
we are here.
yep.
That's a very short time. I think Hollywood has been shooketh, Nollywood, Bollywood. But let me tell you, for those who haven't watched it yet, I don't know why you haven't watched it. I mean, it's one for the books. It is quality is there, quality and can I say quantity? Quantity wasn't enough because it was too short. I feel like I needed a longer one, at least some extra parts, because I understand they didn't have enough time, but they were able to squeeze in a lot within such a short time. So without further ado, I'm going to list, I think, about 5 points of what I noticed with The Grand Little Lie that made it super amazing, super binge worthy to watch. I can watch it twice. I mean, I watched it yesterday and I felt like watching it twice more because I felt like, maybe there's some extra parts. So the first thing I noted was they had an amazing story. It wasn't original, but the way they executed it was amazing. A Grand Little Lie, for those who haven't watched it yet, is about a character named Joe, who was played by Michael Munyoki. Joe is a people pleaser, as it was pointed out in the beginning of the film. He has a girlfriend. He's in a very toxic relationship, and they have their 6-month anniversary. So, of course, us girls take it much more seriously than guys. Although that is subjective, I can't say for everyone. But in this particular one, Joe found himself having to try and save his relationship at the same time save his job, because he was already running late and he didn't want to risk losing his job, disappointing his boss, and blah, blah, blah. So his girlfriend gives him 2 hours to finish up his business there and come back home, and they celebrate their anniversary. So the guy dashes over to the office and lies to his boss, who is Kate the actress, who's the boss lady, and he tells her that his non-existent brother died after committing suicide and he needs to go for the burial. So boss lady agrees, and it's fine, you can go, no worries, I'll take care of everything here. And he's happy, he's off the hook. But the boss lady decides, you know what, I want to come for a funeral. So his mind is racing, he has to make a funeral. So this whole story focuses on Joe trying to build up this whole funeral and creating more lies, finding sketchy characters to sort out his issue, and it turns out to be very costly. So from the get-go, storyline A1, it was great. And I think it comes down to the script writing. An interesting script is a must. There's no great movie that has ever been made that started with a horrible script. In fact, every movie that gets made has to start with a script, unless it's a huge franchise that has planned years in advance. You need a locked script written before you can start working on a movie. Without a script, how would the production designers know what sets they need to build? How would the casting directors know who to cast? How would the cinematographers know what to shoot? Cinematographers are just basically, the people in charge of the video cameras the video cameras basically. How would the cinematographers know what to shoot, or the director what to direct? So from the get-go, I think a script has to be first and foremost clear, simple, focused, well written out. And Abel Mutua did a great job with the screenplay. I mean, he wrote the first draft, but they decided to go for a scripting workshop organized by the Ministry of Information and Communication. And from that, he was able to take some of the things he learned in the workshop and put it in the movie, which was an added advantage for him. And it just shows the efforts that were put in place and the finances that they had to use to go the extra mile and create something great within such a short time. You may think that directors are the ones who tell everyone else what to do, but even with that script, without having a good script per se, the costume designers, the sound mixers, if they don't have a good script, if they don't have a reference to a good script, their decisions will not be well informed and they won't be able to tell a good story. Kudos to an amazing script. The second thing I saw was it was very real. I mean, it was close to reality. There was no way they were able to rather they had a great way of appealing to our own reality or our own Kenyan environment by being able to center the characters around Nairobi, because it was centered around the Nairobi environment, and they were able to capture everything in Nairobi the way it was. So we were able to be immersed, we were able to relate to everything. GLL brought out realism really well by invoking emotion and relatability, especially when it came to the scene where Joe was taken to the mortuary and his plug was able to sort of organize a dead body to be, put in front so that, he can create this elaborate skit that, this is my brother, this is what. The fact that it was very easy for someone to go into the mortuary shows just how real these things happened and how it hit home really well. There was also the other scene where Joe was caught by the police on the road, and the whole dynamic between police and Kenyans and how mnavurutana, and stuff like that, how people are scared and they want to bribe and blah, blah, blah. Joe is caught with a dead body and he has to sort of find a way to get out of this, but he can't. I mean, it relates to a lot of people. So the realism, they were able to bring it out and they were able to incorporate it so well with the character, and the character was able to play it out so well. I felt that they really understood the assignment. The next thing is good characters, or rather good actors in the film. I believe there's a lot of talent in Kenya, a lot of great talent to be used in the film industry. And I believe the most important ingredient you can have is actors who are able to bring the story to life. Because I've seen a lot of good films out there, great movies, great storyline, great relatability and realism, but the actors are not able to bring out the characters as well. But JLL really sought out the best talent they have. I mean, Kate the actress, is there any more to say? Abel Mutua, there's nothing more to say. So they were able to bring out the story really well. In fact, Bilal Maura, who played the plug, he was able to bring out his character better. There was room for character development. There was that flexibility where they were able to mold the character to fit the storyline. There was that effort by the actor himself to bring out the character as best as he could.
And then for me, I decided to use a different approach in character development. So pia hiyo ndio kidogo inanipea tumbo joto. I experimented a lot.
Okay.
A lot more than
than usual. That's interesting to hear because already Bilal, kazi yako.
So I'm like, I want to see how it came out.
A film is a human art form. No film is complete without at least some type of human story for us to relate to. So I believe actors have to do their best because they're the ones who carry the film itself. If the scriptwriter wanted us to believe in the story, that means he had to get people, he had to cast people who are great in bringing that out. So we're talking about good actors, but what makes good acting? It may seem ironic to start any discussion on acting or just bringing it in by it's just very important for us to talk about what makes good acting. It's through great acting that we are able to empathize and relate to the characters on the screen. Even though we know it's all pretend, great actors make us believe that there are real people with real problems in a real world outside our own. If something is important to a character, it should definitely feel important to us. And that's what JLL was able to bring out. That's what great performances do. Where bad actors make the lines they read feel really cringy, great actors make their lines sound inspired, impromptu, and natural. And I know a lot of great actors, not in Kenya per se, but I mean, I've seen a lot of behind the scenes of some of great movies where you find actors doing impromptu, like it's not within the script, but they're able to get themselves into the character and they're able to even bring out the best. And you find that some of those scenes are even put into the film because of such great acting skills, you know? Where a bad actor struggles to communicate how they are feeling even when the lines are written for them, great actors can communicate an entire backstory with just one look. You know that just one look. Someone can just the actor can just look at that other person and, you know, you can just feel it. They don't even have to say anything. That's just what makes good acting. The best actors work well together. There's a synergy and they feed off one another. And we were able to see that very well. There was a very safe environment. They were able to understand each other. In fact, Bilal Maura, he had said he had a very traumatic experience with driving, and you know, there's one of these scenes where he had to drive, but Michael or Joe was able to, let's just say Michael, because you know, Joe is the character. Michael was able to take him through a few driving classes and he was very patient. So there's that understanding.
What was the most challenging part about shooting the film?
For me personally, I feel caged when driving, and I had many driving scenes. It's something that happened to me some years back. Since then, Spendi could drive, and we had quite a number of driving scenes. But kila mtu alinishikilia, they were patient. Smalls was like a driver's trainer, instructor. Hapo na mimi. Na by the end, we even did a stunt drive.
Yeah.
Did it make
that environment? So best actors work well together and they feed off one another. When a scene comes alive, it's because all the actors in that scene are living and breathing the world of that film and gaining momentum from each other's energy. And that is why casting too is also important. Casting is something I'd like to touch just a bit of casting. I think it's very important. Casting is the process where you have to find actors to play all the parts, all of the parts in a movie. This is usually overseen by casting directors. I think so, yeah. Casting directors. Okay, let me just take you to Hollywood movies. When you think of casting for Hollywood movies, you probably think about leading roles. They only cast for leading roles, like Akina Leonardo DiCaprio, Denzel Washington, Will Smith, The Rock. That's amazing if all of them are combined in one movie. That movie would be amazing. But casting directors also have to work with the main director to cast everyone, from the lead to the supporting to the extras, all to the background of to the background talent, the background of every shot. And GLL was able to cast amazing, supporters. Even to the programmer, he was able to bring out his acting well. It wasn't seen as much in the beginning. I think his part was not supposed to play then, but his character was able to be seen even at the end. It was able to be brought out, and he did it really well. He executed it really well, even though it just didn't take a lot of time. But I was able to get into his mind and see exactly what he was thinking, and he really brought it out well. So even just the fact that supporting role of that character, that hacker, was able to be brought out. The same with his girlfriend, the right-hand man of the plug, or I can say the right-hand woman, played by Nyukabi. She played it really well. It was done really well, executed really well. She knew her part. She knew what she needed to do. Believe it or not, a ton of what you consider good or bad acting depends entirely on whether or not an actor was probably cast for the role. This isn't to say that there's a right way or a wrong way to cast a film. The role of the casting director is to find the talent, popular and unpopular actors that embody the essence of a particular character. And I feel like as much as we want to, some production companies may pack a lot of actors, be it known and unknown. They just want to pack it full of just people who are there, but they forget the fact that they're telling a story and they need people, the subjects, to be able to connect with the film itself or the storyline itself. I think I've expounded a lot about acting and good characters. I think I can move on to the next one, which is amazing visuals. So I do believe GLL, if you watch it, I think it speaks for itself. The visuals were just great. Sound was great. I could hear everyone. I usually fear with Kenyan movies that sometimes msee anaweza ongea kidogo unasikia microphone imeenda mbali. Production, sometimes it can be really chaotic in the environment, the film environment. But I could hear the characters properly. The camera angles were great. We were able to see the action. I particularly loved the way they transitioned when Joe was entering the car and going to work. That I'd like to nitpick that. That was just amazing. It was careful and well positioned. So that was amazing. Even to let's just even go more towards the color grading, rather how the colors were looking in the film. It was crisp, clean, well-toned. Everything was just great. I mean, what do you expect from Phillitv Productions? That's what you get. That was his signature. I mean, it was just amazing. Cinematography is one of the most important things aside from the script and the good acting. It has to be visually stunning and narratively important. You can't just have a camera taking a pretty picture. It's a work of art in itself. It's telling a story or telling its own story in one single frame. You need to be good. Cinematography is defined by telling a story, the ability of telling a story within just one frame. And I've seen a lot of budget films, even in Nollywood, and I think that's what brought it out. They can have very basic cameras. You can even have a mobile phone as your camera, or several mobile phones, and someone on the outside may think, this is going to be subpar. But what makes great cinematography also is not just the best glass, or rather the best lens, or just 4K or whatever. It's also just even about the angle. How is the camera operator able to change the angles of the camera? How are they able to tell a story even with just that mobile camera? I mean, I've seen good films being made out of just basic camera equipment, and it's all down to great skill in making a good film. The next one close to this is sound. Sound is very important, which includes not only the audibility of the subjects, or rather the actors. It's also about the music scores. What are you putting into the film? Does it relate well to the story? Because even music can bring out a lot when it comes to telling a story. You can't put rock metal when it's a comedy film. Like in Grand Little Lie, you can't put rock metal in there just because it sounds nice. It has to mean something. And I like also the other thing they added was, Bien Sol was a supporting actor, and they were able to put his music. Ben Sol was also in there. And they were able to incorporate their music. I think that was also advertising for them and also supporting. It was, I think, much cheaper, because the artist is there, so you can play their music. It was also a good way of promoting the music itself. And it was also well incorporated into the movie. It was subtle. The sound was subtle. The music was subtle, but it was able to pull us in and make us, feel we're in a different places, so I can say. So yeah, the final thing now I'd like to add is, I think to me is of great importance, is good pacing. And this ties in with also realism of the movie, or how it appeals to how close to reality it is good pacing, which means it's neither too fast or too slow when it comes to change of events. And I found that the GLL was able to pace very well, because we went from Joe first, trying to find his way to the office, and he's in a rush, and we're able to pick up his urgency of getting to the job, and then we move forward to the boss further escalating issues, and then we come to the plug who was there to try to sort things out for Joe. The pacing was good. It was not too fast. It was not from slow and calm environments to then all of a sudden fast pace, and then back down to, you understand the drift, you understand what I mean. So the good pacing is much more important. It means so much, because it feels like when a movie moves too fast, it starts from too slow, and then all of a sudden, pop, you enter like an action scene. You hear, if it's action movies, you enter the action scene, you hear bullets. You'd get a heart attack. So I feel like it's much more, and then the sound is all over the place. I feel it's much more important to have good pacing, because you wouldn't want to have a terrible headache at the end of the show. So I think that's it when it comes to my own opinion of what makes a good film. I'd love to hear what you think would make a good film, and I really implore you to watch it for yourself. It's only 500 bob. I'll link the movie's link in the description. Please let me know if there's anything I've missed. Join me in part 2, where I get to discuss more about the film industry, and I get to interview. I won't disclose it now. You'll find out in part 2 the filmmaker, he's upcoming, and he'll get to tell us more about his experiences in the film industry. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening to my long yet short episode. I hope you liked it. I tried really hard to cram up everything in one. This is something I thought I'd share with you guys. This has been Nosy's podcast. I'll see you next time. again, thank you for the continued support. I highly appreciate it. If there's any suggestions that you need to improve, anything that I need to improve that you've seen from the previous episodes or this episode, please let me know. I'm open. My email is on my social media platform. Na kwa hayo machache, tuonane in part 2. And yeah, that's it. Have a great week or weekend, whatever day you're watching it. Yeah. Bye.